All right, everyone can't stop talking about the DOJ's latest accusations. According to them, a bunch of conservatives took money from Russia to run propaganda. They're saying it all happened through a media group called Tenet Media. And well, the person who runs Tenet Media is a woman named Lauren Chen. Many of you guys are familiar with her. She is a very popular conservative influencer. She also worked over at the Blaze, but just recently fired when these accusations made its way to the public world, like obviously. And then YouTube yanked her channels as well. Now, listen, I truly believe that although this is a very detailed indictment that the DOJ has handed down, that Lauren's innocent until proven guilty. We've seen it time and time again. I've told you for the last couple of years, don't trust the DOJ. Don't trust the DOJ. I'm not going to tell you just because this indictment is very detailed to now all of a sudden trust whatever the DOJ puts out there. Listen, I've never done business with Lauren. I've never met Lauren. I have no affiliation with her. We've had one reporter, Taylor Hanson, a great reporter on this show. Taylor says he knew nothing of any of this, where the funding came from. And I truly believe that he means that. But I don't like the fact that we all of a sudden are okay with the fact that we see an indictment and we automatically presume the individual being accused of crimes is guilty. Okay. I truly, truly hate the fact that so many people are going after Lauren and attacking her right now. We should wait. And it's not just Lauren being attacked, of course. The people who licensed their shows to Lauren to stream on her platform, they're being attacked. But it's interesting, of course, right? Because again, although the DOJ, and we're going to play that clip in just a moment, the DOJ saying that they probably victims in all of this, and they are victims in this, I should say, strongly, they are victims in all of this. The media, which is given just enough red meat to pretend like they're all Russian propagandists. Now, listen to what Merrick Garland specifically said earlier today about all of this.
The company never disclosed to the influencers or to their millions of followers its ties to RT and the Russian government. Instead, the defendants and the company claimed that the company was sponsored by a private investor. But that private investor was a fictitious persona.
Okay, so we don't know if Lauren was aware of any of this, and I want to drive that point home. Give her the benefit of the doubt, innocent until proven guilty. According, though, to a lot of reports, she was being paid directly by RT for over a year, was a contributor for them. And so, again, these are just accusations, folks. And I want everyone to remain calm because we are close to a major presidential election. And so anytime I hear this Russia narrative get cooked up, I automatically think, hold on one second. This might be a political hit job. And, we might actually have someone here who's might be a victim in all of this. So I want to ask someone who's very familiar as to how our government works, especially when we get closer and closer to election season. So let's bring in my good old friend, Steve Friend, who joins me now. I joined him earlier this morning. He joins us on the other side of things. He is a senior fellow, gosh, I can't speak today, for the Center for Renewing America. He also hosts two great podcasts, I should say. So make sure you give him a follow on X. That link is in the description of this video. Steve, thank you for joining me. I'm glad you're here because all week, and we'll dive into this in just a moment, I've been hearing Russia from our FBI and our DOJ. And now they're going after what appears to be a conservative media outlet, independent media outlet. And so I want to remind our audience that you're innocent until proven guilty in this country, regardless of what the indictment says. We've seen a DOJ indict people, and then as things play out, their evidence has kind of dissipated into nothing. So what do you make of the indictment so far? And are you seeing anything that's kind of giving you a little bit of doubts?
Well, I have extreme doubts, particularly about the timing of this. I mean, we're less than 9 weeks before the presidential election, and the FBI and the DOJ have proven themselves ready, willing, and able to meddle in the last two presidential elections using something that was very similar. Look, they made accusations that Russia hacked the 2016 presidential election, and then in 2020, they said that there was Russian misinformation in the form of the Hunter Biden laptop. All of that was completely false, and it's provably false, and yet they still go back to the well here. And unfortunately for us as a society, our Supreme Court gave them air cover with the Murphy v. Missouri decision that was rendered by was Amy Coney Barrett was the actual author of it. It's now allowing the FBI to go out and talk to and encourage social media to censor information out there based on what they perceive to be foreign malign influence. And parenthetically, that's going to mean Russia, Russia, Russia.
Yeah, and we're seeing that play out. Lauren Chen has lost all of her YouTube pages. They've completely taken those down. And again, she has not been. I don't even think she's been arrested yet, according to the reports. It looks like this is just an indictment for now. And I want to just remind everyone, you're innocent until proven guilty in this country. And it drives me nuts because we're seeing even lawyers, conservative lawyers, jumping all over this story and just completely convicting her and her husband and saying that they did this again. We've seen this time and time again play out. I know a lot of people who are personally hurt by the Russian hoax back in 2016. So I want to reserve a lot of just doubts. And again, I remind our audience, I don't know Lauren, never met her, and I've never done business with her, but it shouldn't be that way. I hate when people jump on stories that attack conservatives and don't realize that we need to stop picking apart people so quickly within our movement and just have an ounce of maybe just, reserve some doubts, or reserve some hope for innocence, I should say, because it happens so often to us on this side. It doesn't happen on the left. The left doesn't turn on each other, and they're against us. And I just have to keep reminding people of that. Now, I wanted to get your take, Steve, on this. Tim Pool put out this tweet, and I wanted to get this up and get your take on it because, General Michael Flynn might have a word with Tim Pool, but Tim says he's going to be working with the FBI, and that the FBI sees him as a potential victim of this crime. Do you think that he should be offering his assistance in this matter right now?
No, I don't think anyone should ever offer the FBI assistance on anything, because the thing you have to remember is, even if you're perceived to be the victim, or in this case, I think probably a more appropriate term for him is the target of this foreign actor in this place. I don't think he was out any monetary. I don't think he's been damaged to that certain extent, other than his reputation now, which, again, curious timing as to the release of that. The FBI then can get subpoenas and look at your own records. And it's very clear to me that the FBI has their perceived political enemies. Tim Pool being a strong advocate for Donald Trump, I think that he probably falls on the wrong side of what the FBI deems to be right to think. And they will not hesitate to have their man and then look for a crime. I think the best advice I can give to anyone is, like, say, A, B, C, D, E. Always be closing the door and then calling an Esquire.
Yeah. And I think it's really important for folks at home to remember, don't talk to them if they ever come knocking on your door as we get closer to the election. This is going to happen. There's nothing that you're going to say that's going to alleviate a situation and make them go away. You're only going to be talking yourself into a hole. And so you got to stop talking to them, get a lawyer, and end it at that point, because you will say something that will get you in trouble. We've seen them use things against, and you think you're being helpful. You think you're walking yourself through the situation, but you're actually not doing so. And so no matter how emotional you get, you need to pause, think, and call an attorney. And that's really the point I want to drive home with that, because it's really important. I'm sure Tim has tons of lawyers. I highly respect him. I've gone on his show and I've met with him several times. He is a great person. And it's heartbreaking to see this happen, because the point to all of this is, yes, they're saying he's a victim, but all they need to do is put your images up on a quick article, use your name, and you've already had your reputation damaged just from that alone by associating them with Russia. And that's a key point here. And again, none of the things that I think Tim has even said would work to Russia's benefit at this point. Russia doesn't authentically want Trump to win. They want Kamala Harris. And, Putin made a joke about that. But again, what has Putin done these last 3.5 years? He's thrived under Joe Biden, so he'd want to continue just that. President Trump wouldn't allow that to happen, obviously. And we know that because we have 4 years to call our sample size in that. And prior to that, Barack Obama was also somebody who, Russia was able to expand and take advantage of. And so this isn't a win for President Trump. And that's someone who Tim Pool has been cheering on the whole time. So it's something to be mindful. Even Benny Johnson, who's another name, has been brought into this. Victim, absolutely. But again, also they're throwing their dollar amounts out there too for the public to see how much they were being paid. I know a lot of independent journalists are outraged at the money in all of this, but I know that, number one, there's nothing suspicious about the money. This is how licensing deals work. And for anyone who thinks that, oh, well, they were getting paid so much money, of course it was Russia. No, this is how these things work. And until you've seen the business side of all of this and you've actually been in these rooms, I don't think people really understand that. But I don't want to create hate towards these individuals because they've done nothing wrong in any of this. And I think that's really critical here. But I want to ask you too, because we've seen it over the last couple of days, this Russia narrative jumping up all over these headlines. We see that the FBI has been splashing all of these headlines about going after people who were looking to hack the Ukrainian government, to other individuals. So what do you make of all of this? Because these headlines, they look like the increase of Russian threats have really been boosted these last couple of days, but it's not really what it seems, right, Steve?
No, unfortunately, this is what I spend my days doing mostly, is reading these press releases, because the FBI is hoping that no one actually goes beyond the headlines, which paint them in a very nice way. But what, in effect, you find out in not too far into the press releases is that the alleged crimes occurred when the people were in Russia, and they were their victims were the country of Ukraine. So there's actually no American law that was broken here. Oh, and the offenders, the subjects who have been indicted, they're still all living in Russia. So there's not going to be an extradition from them. They're never going to be arrested. They're just setting this out like throwing as much spaghetti against the wall as they can. Anytime they can throw Russia out there, it's going to create this narrative, this continued narrative that we're going into an election and Russia is obviously meddling. And then the other element is purely bureaucratic and financial. We are in September now. It's the final few weeks of the fiscal year. There's going to be a budget fight, and the House Republicans are still living in the 1980s, and they think that Rocky Balboa hasn't beaten Ivan Drago yet. So there's the big baddie over there in Moscow, and the FBI wants to appeal to that so that they can get fully funded.
Yeah, and you just called it out too perfectly, right? We can't, a lot of these crimes you can't prosecute for, but, and I want to mention this too, the FBI actually went after Hamas and announced that they're going to go, the DOJ is going to file charges against their top leaders. So you've shared this great meme that I think is important to highlight, because this week the FBI had themselves a hell of a week. This is Christopher Wray on the phone. We got caught ignoring child sex crimes and covering for a tranny mass shooter. And so obviously this one is quick, indict Hamas and Russia. And so obviously that's what's at play here. But what do you make of this Hamas indictment? Because I think that Merrick Garland needs to go over there and start making those arrests personally at this point.
Yeah, I think he could take his protective detail, which is armed agents over there, to go and maybe try to affect that arrest and see how that goes for him. These are war crimes, and if there was any sort of system of justice, then they would be held at The Hague. Or we can actually look at the proof of concept we have, and that is Khalif Sheikh Mohammed and his ilk down in Guantanamo Bay over 20 years now, who are hanging out there on the American taxpayers' dime, eating and being clothed in pretty comfortable climates, and they're living nice lives there. So that's what the future would be with these, in the event these people ever did face American justice. But I think anyone who's interested in real justice here would be, Hamas would not be on long for this earth.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve Run. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your insight as always. We greatly appreciate it. All right, I'm on a personal quest to live a happier, healthier lifestyle. As many of you guys know, if you follow me on social media, I went all carnivore and lost like 30 pounds. I've also ditched seed oils. I've also reduced significantly, not eliminated though, but every now and then I have martinis. So I've limited the amount of alcohol I take in, of course. And there's another thing that I've done. I've completely created like this world where I'm, reducing the amount of EMF radiation that I expose myself to, and even my dogs at this point. It's been incredible so far. So I wanted to direct you guys over to a website that I've actually used and I love. It's redemptionshield.com. Now, the reason why I'm pointing this out to you guys now is they have a great sale going on right now. And then just because you're listening to today, they're going to give you an extra 10% off with promo code BRE. That's promo code BRE. Take a look around. They have hats, beanies. They even have mattress pads, which I actually use, and I love it so much. There's also this great dog mat too. My dogs sleep on it as well. It's incredible. I actually put it inside of their dog bed, and they absolutely love it. EMF radiation, folks, it comes from all of your electronic devices, even your Wi-Fi router. So this is something that you're going to want to look into. And if you're looking to reduce your exposure, you got to head over to redemptionshield.com. They have the cutest accessories possible right now, all on sale. Plus, you get the 10% off with that promo code BRE that you see on your screen. Plus, you're also supporting an American-owned business, and they're patriots like you and I. That's how I've met the owner. This is how we had her on the show. So this is a great, great, great solution if you're looking to reduce your EMF radiation exposure. Head on over to redemptionshield.com. Use promo code BRE. That's promo code BRE if you're looking to save 10%. And if you missed out on that, the link is in the description of this video.